Hey gamers, Maniac here with GameAccess.net, showing you guys how to use the PlayStation Gold wireless headsets. This is the white model, but this will work identical if you're using any particular color. We're also using the Generation 2, so just keep that in mind. This is the model that's designed to work with the PSVR headset. It currently retails at $100 US. However, you might be able to find it cheaper through various methods. Sales do happen. As you can see, it is stereo audio, or can do stereo audio through a wired connection. It can supposedly do surround sound when in wireless mode. It's also capable of things like 3D audio and stuff like that as well, but we'll get into that later. You can see that there's a left and a right, and these are adjustable, which is pretty cool. Sony's always had a history of making the best headsets, so you know, the fact that they're releasing a headset like this is not unusual for them. When you unlock the package for your Gold headset, you'll probably find a couple of extra things that are included with it. Particularly, you're going to need this USB adapter, this auxiliary cable. We'll get into what this is going to be used for later. And a USB charging cord. This is not the charging cord that came with the unit. This is my controller's charging cord, which is the controller that came with the PS4. But we're going to use this because for some reason, at the time of this demonstration, we can't find that that cable. But we'll use this. This should work just fine anyway. And yeah, let's get started, shall we? Okay, what to do first? First things first, make sure you have at least one free USB port on your PlayStation or PlayStation 4 Pro. Doesn't matter which one. There's depending upon the model that you have, there's ports on the front and possibly on the rear, but you're definitely going to need one free port, so just keep that in mind. Take the USB cable that you received with the headset and plug it into one of the front panels, just for ease of access purposes. We're using the charging cable for the controller, but it's pretty much the same procedure. And we're going to connect this charging cable to the USB port on the bottom. We can just get that in. Sorry about that. Now, important thing you're going to note is when you plug it in, if you plugged it in correctly, you're going to see a red light on the bottom of the headset. This is good. This is what you want. Just put that on a shelf or something for right now. The red light means that the system is charging. So you want to let that battery charge. And that's the best way to do it for right now. While you're waiting for your headset to charge, I totally recommend doing this instead. Depending upon what games you like to play, particularly if you like to play like Uncharted 4, for example, I recommend going into the PlayStation Store and downloading this application off the PlayStation Store. It's called Headset Companion, and it was made by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It is free to download on any PlayStation 4 on any account, so make sure to download it. This will allow you to tweak the audio settings on the PlayStation 4 when using the headset mode. Now we're not really gonna mess with it too much right now, but I'll just give you a quick demonstration of what the capabilities of this application is while we're basically waiting for this to load. So it says there's a headset detected, probably because I've used it in the past. And these are just audio profiles for like specific games that are available on the PS4. Not every game is on here. As you can see, very few games are actually on here. But basically, if you're going to watch a very specific, or play a very specific game, then like specifically one of these games, whether it be Days Gone or Shadow of the Tomb Raider, God of War, Uncharted 4, Horizon Zero Dawn, stuff like that, basically, what you would want to do is you want to go to that option and select it. Like, let's say we want to play Uncharted 4 right now, and it will tell you what the expected profile is. And if that's the game you want to play right now, you would say put it in headset. Now we're not going to do that because I'm not playing that game at this time, so we'll just go back. But these are just some options. If you have any of these games that you'd want to use the headset for, then you would totally want to download this application. You don't have to. The headset will work without it, but this is just an option. All right, once you charge your headset battery to a satisfactory amount, the red light will go off. Will literally turn off when the battery is full. It's time to actually use this thing in wireless mode. Now, we're going to take the USB adapter that came with the headset and plug it in to the front panel. If you have an open USB slot in the back, you can use that as well, but right now I'm using that for my PSVR, so I have to use the front panel. Now this has to stay connected to the PlayStation 4 for as long as you're using the headset, so please keep that in mind. This USB stick is not optional when using wireless mode, so keep that in mind, please. Now, once that's plugged in and you want to actually use the headset for gaming, then all you basically have to do is just go to your charged headset, and let's see if I can focus in on this little part right here. You can see where it has two modes here. Mode off, mode 1, and mode 2. Now, we're going to switch it to mode 1. That'll turn it on. And we're going to see the light that used to be red earlier turn blue. And now we have a steady enough blue light. Once we have a steady blue light, we will have a connection with the USB adapter here. Now, under normal circumstances, by default, this will actually work as a wireless chat headset, which means that you're not going to get game audio through it. You're just going to get chat audio through it. People speaking to you and you speaking will automatically start going through this. Now, if you want to have all audio go through your headset, you have to do something about that. Let's hit the PlayStation button on our controller. We're going to go to sound and devices, and you can see output to headphones. By default, it will say chat audio. Now you can see here actually that I'm currently set to all audio. That's how the audio settings should be. By default, it'll be set to chat audio. You swap that into all audio, and then all of a sudden, magically, all your audio from the PlayStation 4 will start going through your headset. And then you can put your headset on and use it to your leisure. It will work until the battery stops functioning, which should give you a couple of hours of life, depending upon how long you charged it for. But basically, that is how you get wireless audio through this thing. It's pretty simple. Do not use this method if you're using a PSVR game or using the PSVR headset. We'll talk about that in the next step. Now, if you're wondering what that number 2 option is on the switch there for the PlayStation Gold headset, this is a pretty good, in focus shot of it. That is what is used in conjunction with the headset companion app. If you've selected a headset companion app audio profile for a game that's actually offered in there, whether it be Days Gone or Uncharted 4 or something like, God of War, that sort of thing, and you've just told the companion app that that's the audio profile that you want to download, once you've done that, instead of selecting option 1 for, when you turn this thing on to play your game, you'll select option 2. Make sure that if you do change your game's audio profile to something else, to either, or whether you, once you swap your game out, let's say you're playing God of War and then you decide you want to play Control, which doesn't have an audio profile, then you make sure to switch it back to option 1 when you go to play Control. I mentioned earlier not to use the wireless adapter or the wireless headset in wireless mode if you're using the PlayStation VR headset or any type of VR. There's a reason for that. There are certain features like the 3D spatial audio features and things like that that cannot function properly on a VR with the VR headset if they're being used in wireless mode. Now, thankfully, the PlayStation VR headset actually has all of this spatial 3D audio stuff built into it. That's basically where all the functions are working. And so that's what you have to keep in mind when I'm about to tell you what I'm going to have to tell you. And that is, of course, that in order to use the PlayStation VR headset with the Sony Gold headset, you'll have to use a wired audio cable, no different than the wired audio cables that you've seen for the last 30 to 40 years at least. There is a reason for that, but this will actually function quite well, and I'll show you what to do. You are going to need a Generation 2 or newer PlayStation VR headset, so please keep that in mind. A little bit of housekeeping. Since we're going to be using the PlayStation VR headset, we're not going to need this, so you can just unplug it from the PlayStation 4 front panel. This is the underside of the Generation 2 PlayStation VR headset, and you'll notice that we took the headphones out. The headphone jack would normally go here. Thank goodness this thing has detachable headphones, because the earplugs that are included with the PlayStation VR are absolutely awful. I hate them. But thankfully they can be changed out. Now there's a couple of points here. We basically just ripped the earplugs out entirely. In fact, that's the cables that you see down here basically are basically from those. So what are we going to do basically from this? Well, we're going to take that auxiliary cable that we saw earlier, and we're going to take the angled end, and we're going to plug it in right here, right near the data power cap cable. That's basically it. So you're going to want to use the angled end for this particular end. Trust me on this, because it's a lot more comfortable. Although I'm sure either end will work. This has got a much better ergonomics to it. The other end of the auxiliary audio cable, and we're going to stick it on this port right near the light. I can't get it in all the way because I'm one-handing this, but you should be able to stick that in until you get a pop. Make sure to keep the PlayStation's Gold headset's audio setting to off. If you have a solid, as long as you have a solid connection. Now, obviously, you don't have. I don't have a solid connection right here, but it's implied that you'll put this in all the way. As long as you have a solid connection with the auxiliary cable to any input, whether it's the PSVR headset or audio player, CD player, that sort of thing, you will have no problem getting audio through it, and you won't need to worry about using the battery, because you're not going to be using the battery. There's enough power going through that audio jack that, you know, that will run the headset fine. So make sure that the headset is kept in off mode. Oh, and one other thing. If you'd like to use the Sony Gold wireless headset with an iPhone of any type, you actually can. I'm not kidding. All you'll need to do is use the auxiliary cord that we use to connect to the PSVR and a lightning port adapter. If you bought an iPhone 8 or iPhone 10 perhaps, you actually might already have one of these lying around. If not, you can get them very cheaply. All you basically have to do in order to make it work is connect one end of the auxiliary cord to the lightning adapter and the other end of the auxiliary cord into the headset jack. As long as you use it while the headset is off, both stereo audio and the microphone will be active. And this is how it'll look. You don't need to use the power. You don't need to use the power switch on the headset in order for this to work. Audio will start coming through automatically, and if you are using the headset in a phone, you know, for a phone purposes, the audio microphone will pick up your voice automatically and transfer it to the iPhone, and you can have a regular conversation. I'm not saying this works better in comparison to proper Apple earbuds, but that having been said, I've seen tons of third-party headsets that are absolutely awful. Their microphones are just terrible, and they have constant popping when you're having a conversation with somebody using them. This does not happen. I've asked people, I've talked to people using this or using this method. Yes, we're using an iPhone 5S for this demonstration, but it will work on any iPhone, provided you have the adapter.